All right, so Beau, welcome to the Ecom Leaders Podcast. Super happy to have you here. And I'll tell you, I may have not have told you before, but seeing you explode your Amazon business from pretty much nothing, because you started after me, and you freaking exploded and passed me like super fast. And I was like, holy crap, this guy is a fucking wizard. And inspired me to stop, like, I don't know, go in my eyes, go really slow, right? Maybe people think I wasn't going slow. But when I saw your like crazy growth, I go like, oh, like it's possible. You didn't start with a lot of money. Anyway, we'll go into it. But
no, I remember when we first met.
Yeah, it was a huge inspiration to me. So I want to thank you for that, and I would like you to share your story. Hopefully, other people will be inspired too. Yeah. If they get a small inkling of what you've done, I think people will be extremely impressed.
Okay. Where would you like me to start?
Sweet. So actually, first let's start with your background.
Okay.
With your background, what were you doing before Amazon?
Before Amazon, I was, when I started the Amazon business, I was helping dentists implement marketing in their practices. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I know you about the cake thing. What about the cake? That's even before?
So before that, I was a self-taught pastry chef.
Okay.
And I did, big celebration cakes. We also had, my wife and I had a studio down in Puerto Rico where we taught thousands of women, some men, how to bake and decorate cakes and that whole industry.
Yeah, and I've seen some of your cakes. They're pretty impressive.
Thanks.
And you literally just taught yourself. You went on YouTube or whatever and learn that way. Or
I started with a book. I bought a book back then, 2010. The internet was like just. There was Facebook and stuff, but there wasn't that much social media stuff going on. So, I started just reading a few books and trial and error, and then I started doing online courses, and that's basically how I taught myself.
And you had like 100,000 followers, right? On something on Facebook or whatever.
Still do.
You still do, right?
Yeah, I haven't posted anything in 4 years.
Okay. And what's the name of the
Melting Pot PR?
Melting Pot PR. So, I've seen the cakes are amazing. And the reason I even want to talk about that or briefly is that your ability to just like, okay, here's a book and then do exactly what it's telling you. And then you make the cake or do whatever. Like that's a skill that unfortunately a lot of people don't have. Like we were just talking right before this that like some people don't really follow instructions.
Yeah, it's duplication all the way. I mean, no matter what you're doing, you hire a new person and they have no experience in a job. If they can duplicate, they're going to do well. If they can't duplicate, there's no way that even if they had prior experience in whatever industry, if the duplication's not there, then...
And by duplication, you mean like you give them an idea and then they have to get exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like very simple. Like you read something, you read a recipe and it says 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 3 eggs, a cup of milk, right? And it gives you the instructions on how to do it, right? You can give that same recipe, basic recipe, to like 5 different people. Yeah. The cake comes out different for all 5 people, right?
Yes.
So like, why?
Yeah.
They all had the same ingredients, but they all, not all of them followed the steps, the directions, the instructions exactly, right? So the person that's going to duplicate the recipe the best is going to come out with the best cake, right?
Right.
As an analogy, right? So it's just duplication on, first of all, you got to find the right person to learn from.
Yes, absolutely.
That's important, right? Surround yourself with people who are knowledgeable in what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to succeed at, and then duplicate what they do. Just do the same thing, right? It's not, you don't got to
reinvent the wheel, right?
No, I didn't invent anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there was some when it came to the cakes and stuff. There was some artistic ability and ingenuity that came in, but it's basically duplication, right? And that's how, same thing with the Amazon business, right? I just saw a few, I knew of a few people who had succeeded and done really well. And I said, well, I've always been confident that I can do anything, really. So because I can just duplicate, that's what I did.
Okay, that's amazing. And so when you started, okay, let's go just briefly back to the cakes. When you started making them, they were like total disasters at the beginning? And then you're kind of...
So again, the first cake I ever made.
Yeah.
I was up all night making the cake. First of all, this lady said, "Can you make a cake?" And we said, "Yeah." I never made one. I read some books. The thing basically melted and fell apart on the way to the client's house. And they called me. I mean, it was a complete disaster.
Okay.
Failure beyond belief. But I didn't let that stop me. I just continued. Right.
Yes.
So it's like, where most people would be like, oh, I failed completely.
Yes.
I'm done. You know, they'd give up. I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And yeah, there was a bunch of failures along the way, right? I went into, there's one story. I showed up to a wedding late, right? They're in the reception. The ladies, the bride's outside. She's taking photos and she sees me coming with the cake. That first of all, the wedding was like an hour and a half away, and the top tier was like sliding off in the back of it. So here I am, and then I rigged it together. I'm like walking it in front of the bride, you know, embarrassed as all hell. Everyone's looking at me, you know. I'm like, but I didn't care, you know. I was like, I delivered it. I got out of there. You know, it was a complete failure again, right? But I just persisted, right?
Yeah. So again, the idea that you duplicate, you do the exact same thing that someone else did.
Yeah.
When you start at the beginning, even if you have the same recipe, the same instructions, the same Amazon course, let's say, at the beginning you may still mess it up, right? Like, of course, you're not going to do it right the first time, but the idea is you keep going until you go, okay, I'm going to get this close. What if it like? I mean, for you with the cakes, how long did it take for you to like master that? Or get good, let's say.
It took almost a year, I would say, to get really good, like to really master the craft. And I was doing a lot. Like I was working every weekend. Some weekends I'd do 7 cakes at a time, plus classes in between. I mean, giving classes and stuff. But I kind of just always had the attitude that, you know, I could do it and be the best at it, which helped out. And
you became the best, of teacher in Puerto Rico or something like that?
The best what?
The best teacher in Puerto Rico? Like there was like another competing person. Like there was nobody, right? You
no,
were the top.
mean we filled all our classes. I mean, there would be weeks where I would have. I made the business was better from delivering the courses to all these students than I actually made off making the cakes, and I did a lot of cakes, right? So, yeah, it became a bigger part of the business, and people came from all over the island, and they would not only come and just take one class, but they would take every single class that I would put out there. So anything I could think up and make a class for.
So you expanded your SKU selection.
Of course,
you expanded your courses. How many courses did you make?
And you know, it's so funny because the way I would do that is I would just go online. I would pay $20 for this online course. I would learn a new technique, and then I would be like, I turned around, I'd announce like a new class, $200 a pop. You know, it was a 2-hour class. I'd make whatever. 10 people would come in. I make $2,000 off $20 that I spent to learn a new technique. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. That's pretty interesting.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Wow. Yeah. And how many did you end up kind of making? Like 10 different classes?
Oh, I had different curriculums and stuff. I had longer ones that were like 6 weeks. I had ones that were just one-offs. I would say probably about 20 different curriculums I put together.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, good. Sweet. Yeah. So you mastered that. And the thing is, one thing that you mentioned is like, okay, you want it to be the best.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that puts you, when you're trying to go toward like way up there, you're trying to be the best. Shit, let's say you don't make it. Yeah. But no matter what, you're going to be better than like the bottom 50% of people. Yeah. Like pretty much no matter what, if you're going for like the top or you're doing the actions that actually will be required to get there. Yeah. And so the same thing, then after that, you got away from the cakes and then you went to do dentists. I didn't even know that about you, that you were consulting dentists. Or...
Well, yeah, I wanted to move back to the U.S. Okay. So I had always, even before the cakes, I had my own businesses and various different things, very entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. But wanted to move to the States. The girls were getting old enough to put into school. We wanted to get them back to the States. So I got a job. And I worked for a company traveling around and helping dentists. And that was a great job. I loved it. But it was a lot of travel. And I was traveling 3 weeks out every month. So, I would be gone for half the week. So the wife, the kids.
3 weeks out every month, meaning you were home 1 week out of the month?
No, 3 weeks. I was gone half the week. Okay. So I was gone like
almost half
40% of the time. Okay. Yep. Yeah, 40% of the time. That didn't really go over well with the family, the kids. It was just tough. So, one day my wife brought me a course and she's like, hey, I want to do this, because she was working a job. She wasn't too happy with her job either. She's like, I want to do this. So I watched this little video. I'm like, okay, sold,
Yeah. And this is ASM?
No, not ASM. Okay. It was a different, ASM wasn't available at that time. This is another, I'm not going to mention them because I wasn't too happy with the course. Okay, I don't want to throw salt on anyone.
So it wasn't a good course, but it introduced you to the subject.
Of course. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it was a shitty course.
Yeah. And what year is this?
This is 2016.
Okay, 2016.
End of 2016. It was not a good course, but it got me excited enough to say, okay, I can do this, right? I mean, the information was just lacking. It was like it gave you the scope of what Amazon is and like kind of what you needed to do. But none of the real tools, right? So I had to learn like trial and error and.
So in this case, you had the recipe from somebody who maybe didn't sell or whatever.
Yeah, a broad recipe.
Yeah, it was like hey, pick a product and put it up, but that was even enough to you to get started. How was your first product, for example?
Yeah, first product was this little comb, and actually it was 3 products. So first I started out with 3 products. I got them all flown over from China, and they were sitting in my apartment because Amazon. I was like blocked from that category.
Okay.
And they wouldn't let me actually sell. So I had all the product at home. You know, it was like a couple $1,000s worth of product, right? It wasn't like a huge investment, but it was at that time, it was a lot for me. Right?
Yes,
you know, I didn't have.
Yeah, a couple $1,000, something.
No, I mean, I wasn't hurting, but I also wasn't, wealthy at that. So I wasn't like, I could just throw money around, right?
Sure.
I had this money sitting there. That's what I was looking at, right? This product.
Yep.
And at that point, I did everything to try to get ungated in the beauty, in the personal care category. Because back then you needed to get ungated for this product. Now, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I think I spent about 35 hours on the phone with Amazon employees.
Oh, gosh.
I paid like one company like $1,000 just to get some like fake invoices from because I was sending in my Chinese invoices and they just wouldn't read them. They just throw them aside and not do anything with them. So then I actually got these invoices. I sent them in, still denial. And then one day, and I would just call every day for like a month and a half. Finally, one day I was on the road doing my job, because we used to travel and stuff. And I just got a hold of some random guy in the U.S. It was the first time I actually got a hold of someone in the U.S. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, let me check I have a friend that works in like the catalog department." he like puts me on hold, goes to talk to his friend. He comes back. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're all good." He unblocked you. I was like, yeah. At that point, I was like, I almost wanted to bust out in tears. You know what I mean? I was like, it was such a struggle, right, to get actually started. And most people. Definitely a majority of people would have just given up.
Correct.
And just eaten the loss.
Even 3 hours. Some people are 5 hours, 10 hours. So 35 hours over whatever.
I was determined, right?
Yeah.
So there was like nothing that was going to stop me. And from that day forward, and even my experience with Amazon and working with Amazon, and things are always happening. I mean, there's always throwing you another challenge at you or blocking you or suspending you. And it's like
either Amazon or the competitors or
competitors
or yourself.
Not just Amazon, competitors, or maybe you made a mistake also. So, it's persistence, right?
Yes.
And the guys who make it are the ones who persist and just keep pushing through.
Wow. So you finally got unlocked, and then what happened? You started selling right away?
Yeah, I started selling. I had this comb. I had 3 products. One of them was, I would say, a success. The other 2 were failures.
Okay.
So I was batting like a 33% average at that point.
Okay.
I was selling, $3,000 a month in product.
Okay.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. And how many units is that, like a day ish?
20
units.
It was a cheap product. It was like $8.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I was like, at that point, I studied more, right? Like, even though I wasn't like super successful, I was okay, but I still knew there was a path to success, right?
Yeah, because that's let's say $36,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right, and whatever. Let's say
it was a 33% profit.
Okay, good. Yeah, exactly. So you make 10 grand a year or whatever, dude. That's great. Even if a lot of people, if they just get that, that's huge. But now, what made you decide to launch 3 products instead of just one? Most people that I know, when you start, you go with one.
Yeah. I wanted to diversify, so I wanted my chances to succeed to be a little bit better. At that point, I thought it was smarter, and there was actually the other 2 products that I launched were very good at that point. One of the products was selling very well, but by the time I got my product and launched it, like 20 other guys,
the market changed fully.
Yeah, completely.
How long did it launch?
This happens all the time.
It happens to me. Happens to me still today.
It was like 3 months. It was 3 months later,
3 months,
right?
Yeah.
So the market completely changed. Everyone came out with a different version, and that product was just a complete dud.
Yep.
Dud, right?
I have at least 5 of those right now.
Yeah.
So okay. So one of the market, and the other one that.
The other one it wasn't a total dud. I actually ended up selling through what I had over that. So I started in February, I finally got unblocked. I've been trying since December.
Wow.
So December to February.
So 2017.
2017, yeah. It took me that
That's like
long.
a little bit ago.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, yeah.
3 years.
So all the way through the end, I sold that other product, and then actually I evolved, or I switched it around a little bit.
Okay.
I changed it slightly to become a different
product.
product.
What you're selling today still?
It was a comb and a brush. I just did different shape, different type of wood, different.
Yeah.
I looked at what the market was telling me, right?
Yes.
What everyone was buying.
Okay.
And I adjusted it to that. And actually, that product we sell during the holiday season will sell 1,000 units a day.
Woo!
So that's one of
amazing.
the first, yeah. I mean,
but you didn't know that one actually. You said it was a failure. Just a little bit.
It was a failure at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a failure. But I adjusted.
You modified it.
Yeah, I modified it. Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart because that's actually our best seller right now. Was the third product we launched, and the initial one we don't sell them anymore at all. Actually, it was 6 different ones. They sold out, bad review, and it was gone forever. And most of them you think, why I don't want to be in that category anymore. But it's not true because the top guy is selling a lot. So you can modifying the product. I think it's brilliant. We do it, and there you go. You could have lost
we
a thousand.
We constantly do it now. I mean, based on there's all change, and when you launch a product, you might get feedback from your, you know how it is. You get feedback from your customers, and you have to make an adjustment to provide them with what they're looking for and what they're going to be happy about receiving, right?
Yep.
So,
what do you think about when people? I've seen this. The product, let's say, is getting bad reviews. The customers don't like it. It's going to like 4.2. It drops to 4.2 stars, which again shows only 4.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "Oh my gosh, I need to do a bunch of giveaways to keep the star rating up." What do you think about that kind of take on it?
I had a similar situation a couple years back. Little shampoo product they were selling, and the manufacturer changed the bottle supplier that they were getting from. So it was a small bottle, so you had to squeeze it to kind of get the shampoo out.
Yeah.
And for some reason, all the bottles they were ordering were rock hard. So like you had the bottle, but you couldn't squeeze it. Like it was almost super hard to, people couldn't get the stuff out of the bottle. So it was a great product, like 4.7, 4.6 on average rating. And it sunk down. It was 4.3, 4.2, just because the bottle was hard.
Right.
So yeah, we worked hard. We just fixed the bottle, and the rating went back up to 4.6.
Okay.
So I mean, getting a bunch. I think just it's always comes down to like, what are you giving the customer?
Yes.
What are you providing to them that makes them happy? Trying to get a bunch of fake reviews or that. I've never done that personally. I'm sure it's a good strategy.
Oh, it's terrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. You're putting your business at risk. I know. Well, I guess the point is that a lot of times, and this supplier did that without you knowing. They didn't say we're switching the bottle.
Yeah,
we had
no
They just
clue.
did it.
Yeah, we had no clue. I mean, it was a big thing, right? Because this is one of our best products. To this day, shampoo is actually one of our best products. Like, it's. We have many different products, but if you add all those shampoos, it's probably our best product.
Okay,
right?
wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, I mean, it took a long time to
but the thing is, people a lot of suppliers do change things, right, without kind of consent or whatever, and your reviews might change. Yeah. And I know so many people who immediately say the competitor's leaving me bad reviews.
Yeah, right
away, and they're like, "Oh my god," and I'm okay. Well, really? And then next thing you find out, let's say their bottle changed or whatever, the formula changed or the batch was bad.
I mean, it's an easy excuse to not have to take any action.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing I love
that.
do, right?
I love that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So, there's nothing I can do. It was the competitors. I mean, they do. We know competitors will sabotage you with bad reviews. Yeah. It's happened to me in different products, and it's killed products before. But it's a stance that people take to not take responsibility for what's happening. Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, right now we, we do a thorough inspection process on every order that ships from our manufacturer. I mean, every product is inspected now.
That bottle never left without inspection.
That bottle is never going to be hard again. No, I mean, and now we deal with like pumps, faulty pumps, or, because on bigger bottles you have the pump, right? Yeah. So, it's always a challenge. You're never going to have anything like 100% correct. It's just impossible in the world to get everything perfect. And you manufacture something, there's a small percentage of of defects,
Yes.
right? But how you handle it is, I think, is the way.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's smart. You change it and don't pretend that. Don't be like, oh, it's done, it's over. And I know people whose entire businesses have gone to waste because something happened. They got one notification, they couldn't deal with it, and they said, never mind, my other business is so attractive, and they leave.
Yeah,
so
they gave up. Yeah.
Again, that's before you even had a business, you fought for it, which is amazing. Okay, so and there's one thing about you and your business, right? That you didn't start it by yourself, correct?
I did start it by myself.
Oh, okay.
So originally, my wife brought the course to me. She said, "I want to do this." I watched it. I did the course. I did it.
Okay.
I think what she meant to say is, "You should do this." Yeah. So I started by myself, but then after I was selling that product, a good friend of mine, I knew had some experience in China and shipping and manufacturing. So I decided, I invited him to into the business and to partner up. Become a partner in that business. And so he brought that experience of the manufacturing and the logistics of shipping and all that stuff, and that's definitely a huge part of the success, right? Because also, like, the admin, I'm not like the type of guy who likes to do
spreadsheets and stuff and whatever.
No, I'm not the most organized person. Right? I can be. I just don't like running the numbers. I mean, I've done it. I did it on another business that I started. So I did it all.
You've learned it now, but again, at that time, you're just getting started.
Yeah,
you split up half. And
it was good because it allowed him to concentrate on what he was good at. It allowed me to concentrate on what I was good at, and together we kind of made the perfect fit, and we were able to grow exponentially.
Awesome. Right? That's amazing. And then when you say grow exponentially, could you tell us, like, okay, so you got ungated or whatever, February.
That first year, I mean, sales were like 250,000. Yeah. Fast forward, so that was 2017. 2018 was like 4.8.
Boom.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a slight amount of growth. Jump. The next year, more than double that.
Yes. Exactly.
So
fantastic.
Each year is it's a pretty big growth rate, right?
Yeah. And again, I think that year, though, was that 2018 that you did 4.3 or something. I think I ended the year maybe at around 3-ish. Something like that, and so, and it had started 2015.
I think that's when we met at the end of. I think it was the end of 2018, right? Yeah. And you were like, "What?" And then it
was nuts. It was and let me see if I get that right. That's probably correct. I'll probably have to verify or whatever. But I remember that year you smoked it, and I was like, "Dude, I've been selling since 2015. You just started pretty much a second ago and you already beat me." And I go, like, what the hell? So could you share, what did you do? And again, I know we met and we did whatever meetings and you told me a lot of the stuff that you did, but maybe could you share, like, well, what did you do to grow so quickly? Clearly, okay, you did a partnership and with somebody who knew stuff. It wasn't somebody who didn't have any business experience.
Yeah, right. So he had experience on the manufacturing, the whole back end of the business, and I concentrated on the marketing, the whole front end of Amazon. What did we do? We just, for one thing, we didn't make any money at the beginning.
Yes.
We just put all the money back into the business. And the second thing is we knew that in order to grow, we needed to keep creating, right? So we consistently and constantly do create new SKUs, new products. And that's how we get the growth, right?
Yep.
And I know we've met a bunch of people. It's like they get a good product, they do like $1 million a year in sales, and for them that's great. Maybe they have super high margins, they're taking home a few $100,000 and they're complacent, they're happy, which is fine. But I mean, for us, it's like as soon as you taste a bit of success, you want more and more and more. So
if you dig a hole, there's gold in it, and then you go and you take it and you go find somewhere to invest the gold, rather than there's a bunch of gold right there. Like, what are you doing? Why don't you keep digging, right?
Exactly.
That's the way I feel. It's a Russell Brunson kind of analogy, but like, Amazon is still there. And when you were starting, 2017 is kind of like late. People say like it's
kind of late. It was after the incentivized reviews. When I remember when I was doing the course, it was like in that October of 2016. It was like, the end of Amazon. Now everyone's like, before you could incentivize a review, which is you could give a product away for a review, and Amazon was okay with it. But Amazon kind of put the foot down at the end of 2016. And then it was like, and then I was even questioning because I didn't know much. I'm like, shit, am I going to be able to do this? Is this going to work? Like, how am I going to make it work if that's how everyone's been teaching how to do it, right? So, and with Amazon, they're consistently making up new rules and putting new policies into effect. So you consistently have to evolve your process, right?
Yes.
Of how you launch products and how you market. So it's a constant evolution. The whole business, right?
Yeah,
It's completely different from what we were doing in 2018 to what we're doing now.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, the fundamentals are there. We're still creating new products, good products, and selling products online. But the way that we go about doing it is completely different.
Yeah.
So.
And were you told anybody like, hey, it's too late to sell on Amazon, or hey, I tried to sell on Amazon and it didn't work? Like what kind of things did you hear when you were starting?
I ran into, because I didn't know you when I got started, so I just heard these guys on a video saying we made a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
and I didn't know those guys, and I heard of a couple people that were saying how good it was and whatnot. But yeah, I must have ran into, for every one person that I found that was successful, I must have run into like 10 or 20 people that said I tried it and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh
okay.
no, it's not. It's not as easy as it looks, right? But then I started meeting some people that were successful, and I'm like, wait a second, because I met some pretty moronic people that had some success, and I'm like, oh wait, I think that's what gave me all the juice to like continue, right? Like the caliber of people that I was seeing succeed in this, I was like, what? This guy, I can definitely do that. So
okay.
I mean, that's
hey, that's good. Hey, if it worked, that mindset worked for you, that's fantastic. And again, 20 people doing poorly, one person doing well.
Yeah, I think that's a good ratio.
And
I think that's about right.
And that's absolutely. I mean, there's more than 3 million sellers, and a lot of them sell like probably nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
every day.
That might even be like
generous.
Yeah, generous. It might be like 1 out of every 30 or 40, 50 people.
Yeah. Most of the time when I talk to people now, they're like, "Oh, I've tried selling on Amazon." Almost everybody is at least like tried.
Almost everybody. Yeah.
So, and then one thing that I want to kind of briefly talk about is it's easy for people to be like, "Oh, well, these people fail. Look at that." But listen, it's like anything in life. Let's say you wanted to be a basketball player, you want to be in the NFL, you want to be whatever. Are you going to look at the guys who like dropped out and couldn't make it and say it's impossible? Like, no, of course. You need to see what is the best that you can achieve and go for it. And like, that's going to set you apart because...
Yeah, I mean, that's a good analogy. You look at the basketball players, like these guys like Michael Jordan, one of the best basketball players of all time. And if you look at his high school coach, he was terrible. Like these guys were not good when they started out. A lot of the best athletes of all time were not good when they started out, right? But they just consistently showed up every day and worked on becoming the best, right? So it's with anything, you have to continue to apply yourself, and you have to have a level of duplication, right?
Yes.
If the level of duplication is not there, you're never going to succeed,
right? And
if you don't apply yourself 100%, you're not going to succeed either.
Correct. So and were you doing two things? You were working your job, as you said, you didn't take out any money for how long?
Yeah, I was working for, in 2017, I worked the rest of the year. By the end of the year, we had some more products launched, my business partner and I. And then 2018, I decided to stop working at my job so I could concentrate on the Amazon business fully. So basically...
So what, like January or like December 2017, January 18?
Yeah, January 2018.
Okay.
Quit my job, had no income. Basically, I had a bunch of credit cards, and I charged up some of them buying inventory, and then I had a little bit left, and I said, well, okay, I'm going to live off this money. I did something crazy.
So you did a ballsy move.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically. So you'd only sold $250,000 for the whole year, and that's split by you and your partner, and a percentage of that, and it's going to inventory.
There was pretty much no profit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
No profit.
So like no profit, and you said, I'm gonna dive. Now, did you have any like kind of savings or
nothing? No.
Nothing.
No, I was living. I like I said, I was using credit cards to pay my bills for 5 months.
Okay, so what was your initial investment then? Let's say your first order.
Oh, the first investment was a few $1,000.
Few $1,000, and then you made no money for a year, and then now you have no income from the business. You haven't withdrawn anything.
No.
You quit your job.
Yeah.
Put more inventory on credit card, and then say, I'm gonna live off the last bit of the credit cards.
Yep.
I mean, that's freaking ballsy. That's freaking ballsy. I mean, like, what drove you to do that?
Just like full certainty that I could make it work, right? So I saw the way things were progressing. We had launched a couple more products, and I saw the way they were taking off. And I had a goal in mind, right? And I was 100% certain that I could get there in a certain amount of time. So yeah,
what was the goal?
The goal was my original goal was 10 products, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever profit,
Yeah.
20,000 a month.
Yeah.
I think that's a great income for
It's
anyone.
great income. Yeah, it's almost 1%, almost the top
Yeah.
1%. Yeah.
So that was the original goal. So yeah, I mean, I was trying to get there. We were already at 200,000 a month in February of 2018.
Oh wow.
So we went to
Wow.
we did like
so 10x in like 2 months.
Yeah, in February we did what we did the whole last year, right? So so it was, and I knew, I knew I had full certainty in the products we were launching, and I just knew that I had to concentrate on that. And yeah, it was a ballsy move, but it was worthwhile.
It's a little stressful just thinking about it. What was your wife saying?
Honestly, I wasn't stressed about it.
You weren't
at all.
stressed?
Yeah, I'm like the least stressed person when it comes to things like that. I've always had a mindset that, not that like things, I'm not like things will just work out.
Sure,
everything's going to be fine, but it's like, I know things are going to work out because I have a plan, right? So I know exactly how I'm going to get to where I need to go. So
wow. And okay, so you have 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, you had 2 girls, your wife, and she was making money?
She had a job. Okay. She had a job, yeah.
And she could support the family, kind of?
No.
Okay, so...
No, it wasn't enough. I mean, the girls go to private school.
Yeah.
You have I mean, we didn't have much. The rent. I mean, it's not easy to live off of $25 an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For a family of 4, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have 2 people making that, it's still tough.
And what was that credit card, like your credit card limit total?
My credit card limit total? Oh, I don't know. I had a decent amount of credit card availability. I mean, I probably spent, my living expenses weren't much back then. And I didn't spend money on anything I didn't need to, right?
Yep.
I was very disciplined.
You were just thinking about buying products.
Yeah, that's it. So we didn't, my business partner and I, we made an agreement. Neither of us were going to take money out for 5 months. And then we started paying ourselves in May, I think.
In 2018.
May, 2018. Yeah, and that was enough. At that point, the business could afford that. And yeah, that was enough to live on.
Brilliant. Okay, and then what would you say, like, what did you do differently than the competition? Like, how did you guys get, second year doing $4 million in sales, as opposed to, there's more than 3 million sellers on Amazon?
Yeah. So people always ask that, like, how did you have the competitive edge and all that stuff? I feel like dedication is one of the things. I was just dedicated to finding out the best strategies, techniques, right? Yeah. I mean, I went into something that was completely like, it was already saturated, right? Yep. There was guys selling the same products with thousands of reviews. It's not like I found this golden product that like just came about, that, how they teach in these courses, find something that has low reviews. No, I went straight into like a really competitive niche, and it was still growing at that time. Since then, it's grown tremendously. But I think the timing was good. The ability to recognize the product, the design that we use with the product, making sure that we are, getting quality.
Yes.
Quality stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of different things, right? And just persistence, right? Always learning, always willing to learn and try new things. So and that not getting set on doing the same thing.
Correct. So, and that first product, right, or the first 3, 2 of them succeeded really well. 1 and then 1 later.
Yeah, 1 later.
What made you pick that niche, whatever? What was your driving decision maker?
Back then, it was like, basically, this is what I did learn from the course, was like, pick something that's not like a fad, don't make it like a selfie stick.
It's not a fad, okay.
Yeah, like a selfie
stick. I could have argued, I know it, and I could have argued that could be a fad.
What? A selfie stick?
That category.
Beards?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so it's beard care, that industry, that niche. I felt like if you looked historically, it was, you can look it up on Google Trends.
Trends, yeah.
You see how many people are searching for something. But historically, it was rising, and I felt like this is something that's probably not a fad. And I was correct, right? Because it was a very small, it was still big, like there was big sellers, but now it's expanded. Like all the Chinese sellers have caught their eye. They're in there like crazy. So we still are like the number 1 there, because, we're not just pumping out some cheap Chinese crap. So yeah, I mean, it's the design.
You're pumping out the expensive Chinese stuff.
Yeah, no, no, but it's the brand experience too,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah, it's also like, we've cultivated fans and customers, like super fans of our products, right? We have a list of like people go crazy over our products. Like we get, just for example, we get like 50 messages a day through Amazon of people telling us how much they love our shit. Like, a guy told me that beard oil changed his life. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I laugh about it, but you don't, sometimes you don't know, like the consumer on the other end, how much they love something, right? I'm sure you've gotten the same types of things, and you're like, whoa,
game changer, life changer.
Yeah.
My life will never be the same. I get all sorts of stuff. So it's similar.
For us, it's like, oh, okay, cool, but but I think, and we're different than everyone else, and just in that sense that our customer service, we've always put the customer first.
Yep.
Whenever anyone has any issue, it's like immediately we take care of them, and they're super pleased. And we did the tally or something like that, but it was like we did the tally of like the amount of bearded men in the U.S. and the amount of people who bought from us, and we had actually a majority of the people who buy products for beards had purchased from us.
You mean like
2 years?
More than 50% of the population of bearded men?
Yeah, that buy
stuff.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we would run into people like, oh yeah, I had bought your product. Like, I didn't know that was yours. And I'm like, dude, you don't even have a beard. Why did you buy? You know what I mean? Like, what do you buy? Anyways. Now we sell a lot of other different things, right? It's all men's care. We have other brands that we're selling. We're in different niches. But that was the first one that.
Okay. So back to like how you picked it. So the course that you had, you one takeaway that it was saying that you did follow was pick something that was not a fad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pick something that's not a fad, that you see has a good trend to it, right? It's not like
not a fidget spinner.
No, not a fidget spinner, not a selfie stick,
not a hoverboard. Yeah, nothing that came out of the that it's just had a huge spike in the last, let's say, 6 months or whatever.
Garcinia, Cambodia, whatever. I mean, now, granted, there's people that made a shitload of money off these products when they were fads, but
I know a few.
We always, of course, we always had the idea that we wanted to build something that had longevity, right? Okay. We're not looking to make like a quick couple bucks. We wanted to build something that was had longevity and could continue to grow over the long term, right? So
okay, and then and again, that's something that I did learn also from you when you mentioned that, and it's the trend. When you pick up on something that's actually growing, you get the market, and you almost, if you do nothing, you're going to grow.
Yeah.
Right. And funny enough, there's a famous interview with Jeff Bezos, and he's talking about the internet growing at, I don't know, like 15,000% every year or something. And he's like, you got to get on there. And he has this one interview, and I go like, when you mentioned that, I thought about Jeff, because I'm like, that's what he did. The richest guy on the freaking planet. He like went on a trend that's going up.
Sure.
And what's crazy is Amazon itself is on a crazy trend.
Yep.
Then if you get not trendy, but a growing product on Amazon, which itself is growing, you're now in a place that's growing like ridiculous. And it's been great. Our products, again, some of our bestsellers do have that, and some of them maybe don't, but they're still at least growing a little bit. Yeah. But that's a good tip. Okay. And what else? Anything like in terms of picking the product?
I mean, it's tough now. Picking products now for people like us who have been doing it, it's not tough, right? Because now you have like an army of people working for you and doing the stuff, right? So but for someone new, it's tough. I mean, my tip is just don't go with something expensive, right? So if you fail, it doesn't cost you that much,
correct?
Right? At the beginning, right? Like don't invest in some product that you have to sell for $100,
right? Or don't buy a full container. I know somebody who was like, oh, we're gonna start selling Amazon. They bought a full container and they didn't sell almost anything, and they lost $80,000.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, what? Like, why would you do that? It's okay, so don't do that,
because nobody told them to do that.
I don't know anybody who teaches to do that.
Nobody told them to do that. They didn't duplicate. They misduplicated.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Okay, so don't go in heavy. And now again, you also did start another brand, right? More recently. And that one grew even faster than your original brand. Is that correct? So how fast? What was like from 0 to whatever? How fast were you able to go?
Well, that one didn't. I don't know if it grew faster. The first year was just kind of a couple hours here and there put in on it. and it did all right. And then the second year was like, okay, now I'm actually going to put some effort into it, and it grew. Yeah, it's like
how much? How much? Like how much?
Like from year 1 to year 2, like 600%. Let's say
600% of like 10,000 or 600%. Okay, fine. I mean,
600. No, it was a decent number by the end of the year 1.
Okay.
It was, it was not like 10,000. It was like around $1 million maybe or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so that's I mean, obviously the first year $1 million is freaking super huge.
Yeah.
And then a 6x, that's also fantastic. And now, did you do anything different? Well, obviously, at this point, when you started that one, you're already now an expert. I mean, you're one of the top experts on Amazon on the planet. Yeah. Whether you say it or not, you're really in the top sphere of sellers.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to start something new. Did you think it was going to blow up like it did?
I don't know. This started almost 2 years ago, the idea. I spent a lot of time, right? I looked at a lot of products, got a lot of samples. I went through like maybe 20 different products, and I decided on this one, right?
And 20 samples that you got?
Of different products.
In different niches or in the one niche?
All in the same niche.
Okay.
All in the same niche, but different types of things. And this one I was like, okay, I kind of spotted like an area where I was like, okay, there's a need for this. And that product that was very similar to mine was doing... the first product I launched, it was doing maybe like $10,000 a month.
Okay.
When I launched mine, it was immediately doing $45,000 a month, right? So before that, nobody had done $45,000 a month with that product. Then I launched the second one, and that one does a few $100,000 a month.
Right.
Nobody was doing that much
before.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? Look, it happened to me too.
Yeah.
The top guy at the time, their bestseller rank was like 1,000, and now we're regularly under 100.
Right.
When the number one wasn't. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Do you know why? How is a total market at the time, let's say 10,000, and then you come in and do 40,000? Like, how is that possible? Why does that happen?
I think in general, Amazon's just growing, right? The market share is growing. Products become more popular.
Yeah.
Especially when,
but in like 1 month,
when I first met you, you were asking me, hey, what do I do with this product? What keywords? How do I go with the keywords to launch it? And then next thing you know, you're doing like $400,000 a month on the product. I was like, and I don't know how much you were doing before then, but I don't think it was a super successful product at that point, right? So there was a point where you just kind of tipped over and started riding the wave. But I think in general, you have really good design in your product. It's aesthetics, right? A lot when you're buying on Amazon, it's looking at pictures.
Yes.
I just look at pictures when I buy stuff. So I always think when I go to launch something, I always think like, what's my buying pattern? Because I spend money on Amazon, like if not every day, every other day.
Right.
I think I was just looking at my stats. Like in the past year, I've had 186 packages delivered, and it tells you like what did you get for your Prime membership. So it gives you like the value of your Prime membership.
Okay. How much you saved?
How many packages? How many videos did you watch on Amazon Prime Video? And it's like, 186 packages in the past. No, I think it was like 6 months. In the past 6 months. The funniest part is my wife has her own account with Prime.
Oh my God.
And she orders all her stuff, her own stuff on Amazon too. So that's not all the stuff we were ordering on Amazon. So it's 180 packages over 6 months. I mean, it's like a package a day.
Yeah.
Plus you have my wife's account where she's probably averaging the same thing. So I do a lot of purchasing.
You're an expert buyer.
I'm an expert buyer, but it's part of what makes me an expert seller too, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a necessary part of doing that, right? I think someone who doesn't buy on Amazon and isn't an Amazon shopper is probably going to have a more difficult time selling on Amazon.
Do you think that's something that you can learn? Like the view and seeing like this is beautiful or people will buy this? Is that something someone can learn, or did you just have that?
I think it's also, I mean, it's some people have good taste and design and a good eye for things, and some people don't.
Yeah.
I had someone I was trying to help out, and I don't want to say the product because...
Sure, no, don't say the product.
But they showed me their logo
Yeah.
and the name they picked out, like the brand name, and the product was horrendous. It was the ugliest thing. The image was ugly, and the logo was even uglier. And I was sitting in their house, and I'm like, do you want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, break it, come out with it. And I'm like, this is horrible. I'm like, you're never going to succeed with this product. I'm like, why didn't you talk to me before you decided to go into this product? Like, I said I would help you, you know, but they got in their mind, they decided like that this was a good idea and this logo was a good idea. And I'm like, that logo doesn't communicate anything to your, and it was just ugly. The color they picked. I mean, so there is a level of like, some people have an eye for design, right? And
of course, the cake master was going to have a great eye for design.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I do have that type of designer eye. So.
Okay, and so here's and I'm going to mention something because when I first met you, I remember I asked you because I had been obsessing at that time. I was obsessing over conversion rate, right? And on Amazon they call it unit session percentage or whatever. Yeah. But the conversion rate, and I was like super excited. Some products had 35%, and I was like, this is the highest conversion rate of all time. Like my product is amazing. And I remember you told me that your conversion rate was like 80%.
Yes, at one point it was 80%. I don't know
and
how.
Let me just tell you something.
Yeah.
When you told me that, I said, this guy is full of shit. It is absolutely impossible. You cannot have 10 people go to your site and 8 people buy. And I remember I went over, it was at your house, your computer, whatever, you opened it, and I saw it, and I went to your Seller Central, and I saw it, and I'm like, the account level conversion rate was like 80%.
Yeah, the broad level. Yeah.
I was absolutely shocked, and I remember looking at your listing, and it wasn't some super fancy, glittery, nothing. Like, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah. The way I got up to 80% was not running ads. Like, I wasn't doing like ads on Amazon. When I started doing ads, the conversion rate dropped down a little bit because you're putting your product in front of a lot of people that might not necessarily be looking for your product.
And this is 2018. This is 2018, right?
2018, it was an 80%.
Yeah,
it dropped down. I mean, 50% conversion rate still is now 45 to 50 is about the range that we stay in with all our accounts. Yeah. So that's still phenomenal.
I mean, that's just spectacular.
Yeah, still phenomenal. It's a lot of different things. It's it's the product, it's the price. It's really knowing there's, how to construct something, right? Like you're building something, you're creating something. So there's a lot of different pieces that you need to put together. Yeah. To get the
so what do you think are the most important things, like on the listing? What is going to get you the biggest conversion rate? What do you focus on?
The main image.
The main image, right?
Yeah.
How many times do you change it often, or what, you do it just one time? Okay, yeah.
I don't even. Some people might strike me down for this, but I've never. I have like split tested images a few times, but not really much. I just always go with what I think is the best. Yeah, and that's you know what I mean. But again, I'm looking. I scan through everyone's, so I look at something that's going to pop out from the rest of them, right? Okay. I'm like, if everyone has a black thermos there, I'm not going to do a black thermos, right? I'm going to do a bright pink thermos. Okay. I don't know. I mean, maybe people don't want bright pink, but at least it's going to pop on the page, right? So that's what I did. Like actually a different
color? Because I know you don't sell thermoses. Yeah. Like, so you actually just do a different color than everybody's buying?
Yeah, I would do a completely different color. Really? Something that completely pops on the page. And I did this one product. I'll tell you about it. It was quickly. It was a foot peel for the feet, right? Yeah. Bunch of Chinese sellers. They all had the same looking packaging. Yeah. Like they were all getting it from the same supplier, and they were putting together this template for the packaging. We did a really nice design. We launched the product. It started selling 100 units a day. Wow, like that.
But so everybody's blue or everybody's black. Yeah. So then what did you do?
I did something. I just did a design. I did a design on it. I did purple. It was like it gave a nice like comforting feeling. Unfortunately, we were selling great, and then of course these Chinese guys came in and left all these reviews, and you could tell it was Chinese because the English was really horrible. Yeah. They hit us with a bunch of 1-star, and that product went from 100 a day to we were stuck with
inventory. I think I helped you liquidate that product. No.
Yes. Right. Yeah, some of it. Yeah. I think I still have some though. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you just literally made it different, but this for this one, the product wasn't different. It was just the package.
Yeah. Okay. So that's another thing, another product line that the recent one that you were talking about that I started recently. Basically, I saw again a Chinese dominated market, which some people don't like to get into because they the Chinese don't play fair. Sure. I mean, we all know that
Yeah.
they'll hack.
Yeah.
They'll do all kinds of dirty shit. But I saw the way that they were doing their packaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same. Everyone's copying or really badly. They don't really have a good eye for design in general. I don't mean that to sound like it is, but most of those sellers don't have a really great eye for design. So I put together some packaging, and I work with my designer that I work with, and we put together great packaging. And I believe that's what mainly sold the product is the packaging and the images.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it.
And the products are the same. I know because my supplier supplies all the other guys too. Right. I went to the factory. She told me. Oh, and actually, she didn't tell me. I saw all the other brands on the production line. And I'm like, wait a second, So we all have the same product. It's all the same. I mean, it's not like my quality is better than their quality.
Right. But you came out of the gate. You're already doing 4X. What the top guy was doing. Right away. And again, I've seen the product. I can verify this, right? Mm-hmm. Some of this sounds like crazy, like almost unbelievable. Some of the growth. And, I know some people listen to this podcast. I know I went on someone else's podcast and they're like, that guy sold 8 million? Are you kidding me? He did it. And they're like talking all this crap. But dude, I've seen your account. I've seen the conversion. I've seen the sales. And it's like crazy. And again, the listing is not super fancy.
No.
I still can't really get my head around it. Like, and the packaging, okay, it's nice, it's fun, I guess. Like, so you think it's the packaging and the main image, but you don't change it. You don't change the main image. You do it one time and boom.
Never. I don't change it. And
what about the video?
Yeah, I do videos on everything too.
And you don't change the video? No, you do. I have
videos. Yeah,
you change them out.
We have our own video team now.
Okay.
That's like pumping out a video a day.
Yeah.
So we're just putting multiple videos on different things. We use a lot of videos and ads and stuff like that. But bottom line is it comes down to the image. I get a 3D rendering guy who does 3D renderings, and he does a really good job. I have a product I just launched.
Yeah.
It has 4 stars. I mean, it has like 11 reviews.
Yeah.
It's 4-star, and I'm selling 50 a day already.
Wow.
Because the image is really, really good.
Wow.
I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want you to steal
it. That's okay. It's all good. It's all good.
I'll show it to you. But anyways, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like, of course.
Do you have generally like a template for the main images? So for example, like a comparison image or like, what's your goal when you plan out the images? Because I think you're still doing that, correct? You don't have like what the listing is going to look like and the images. You're still doing that, or you have someone? You're doing it.
I've done it.
You haven't. You have like a ton of products, a humongous business. You're still picking what are the images going to be?
The main image,
The main image only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I work. That's one part of the business I definitely have like tight control over.
Okay.
Because I believe it makes such a difference.
Yes.
So I work directly with the 3D rendering guy. I will actually take photos first, set them up in a light box, arrange them the way I want, and I'll send everything to him exactly how I want them composed. Then we'll go back and forth until we get, exactly what I'm looking for. So
you work on the main image. Mm-hmm. And what about the rest of them? All images, not just the main image.
Yeah, I'm the one. I decide what angles and everything.
The entire thing, boom, you mastermind the whole thing. Okay. And what is your strategy? Like, do you have a certain you always do a comparison image, or you always have a close up, or do you have anything?
Because there really is no strategy.
Okay.
I've done. For example, there was a product we launched 2 years ago during Christmas, and I was like, "That's the worst time to launch products because."
I find the opposite. I love launching products.
Well,
but fine. Okay.
I launched a product, 0 reviews.
Okay.
It was selling 50 units a day.
Right.
0 reviews, right?
Yeah.
The images were like 3 images of Christmas. And they weren't 3D renderings. They were like ones I took in a light box.
Oh, it wasn't a Shutterstock or anything.
No, I took the picture and then somebody photoshopped it into like a Christmassy background. Right?
Okay.
Horrible images, right? Fast forward a year later, I go into the listing. We never changed the images, and yet the listing's selling. That listing's doing over $1,000 a day. That one product, right? So
and it still has during the whole year. It had a Christmas tree.
For the whole year. Fast forward another product. It's had the Christmas pictures on it the whole year.
Okay.
The best, one of my best sellers, doing hundreds of $1,000s a month with Christmas photos on it the whole year.
Oh my gosh!
But this goes to my theory that people don't really look at the other photos. They just look at the main image. Or they really don't care. I mean, it's like...
Wow. But it has more than 3 images now, the other one.
Yeah, it does now.
Okay. But you kept those 3 because they had already been producing for you. or you
No,
change out the Christmas?
Sometimes I'm hesitant to change out the Christmas because if it's been working so well, it's don't why would you change something that's working really good?
Right, of course.
I don't know. I mean,
I have the same thing. Like we have a different strategy of making images, but the products that are selling, why am I going to change it?
Yeah.
If it's selling amazing, why would you change it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the main image, wow.
Main image, the title, keywords, whatever. I mean, that's basic stuff, right? The bullets. If you look at any of my products, the bullets are like meh.
Yeah.
I don't go.
I agree. I haven't revised the strategy of doing bullets probably for 2 years. I actually don't think the people who do the bullets have any instruction on my team. Just truthfully.
I don't think it makes a difference anyways.
Right.
To be honest, I don't. Because when you go to look at a product on Amazon, what do? You look at a product, you see the image, you look at the price, you're like, okay, I would pay that amount for that product. Let me see what people are saying about it, and you look at the reviews.
Yeah.
You don't look at anything else. You don't see what the seller's saying about it, unless it's like something you need to know if it takes this.
Maybe a vitamin or like
yeah, unless you need more specifics on the product, like size or dimensions or something. It's a picture frame. Do
you have any products like that you feel the listing's important or? No. Okay, so again, main image. Go through the process. Okay, so when you're picking that main image, and again, the reason I'm talking about this is just because I want to know. Because I know the main image. The first product we launched, I had no joke. I went through 16 main images until I saw my conversion rate went up like 5 points on the last one. We kept it there, and then we got the bestseller batch. I know for sure the main image is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
And you probably, I don't know anybody who has a higher conversion rate. So when you pick that main image, what do you do? Like from zero? Do you study the competition? Do you just like...
Of course.
The dream comes to you and you go like, this is my image. Like, what do you do?
No, I look at the competition. I look what's working. I always have the idea of like, okay, let me take what's working and not just copy it, but how can I make it better? Whether it's...
For the main image. So give me an example, like not with, let's say one of your products, but let's say it was a footstool or something or whatever. So you see the footstools that are on the market.
Yeah.
What are you going to do that'll make it different?
I'll do a better quality image.
Can you define that? What better quality? How? Like higher resolution?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, someone's probably going to take a picture of that stool and put it there, and they're going to Photoshop it, give it a white background, and make it look nice, right? I'll do the 3D rendering. Every one of my products has 3D renderings done. And I have a guy that I've been working with for the past 3 years.
The one guy does all your main images?
He does all my 3D renderings.
Okay.
Yeah. So he does all my 3D renderings. And he's difficult sometimes because he takes a little while. Okay. But he's the best. I mean, I wouldn't use anyone else.
Right. Wow. Okay, so you get that rendering, but that's not the end of the main image. No. Once you have the rendering, then what?
Then I might have to adjust it a little bit, add some things to it, and I'll use another person on our team, a graphic artist.
What? Like what? Like, okay, footstool. Let's do an example. You're launching a footstool, or let's say a iPhone case. I don't know. What are you gonna do to it? What can you do?
Yeah, you can put it at a different angle.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's lots of things, right? Yeah.
That's not lots. That's one.
Well, no. You can put a different angle.
Okay.
I usually play more on colors and design to differentiate myself from the rest of the guys.
So like the packaging, because the product you're not going to change the color.
Or the label on the product.
The label on the product.
A lot of stuff we don't have packaging, but we have a label, right? Okay. If it's like a shampoo or something, you don't put the
label
there.
Correct.
Yeah. So we concentrate on that, and just
by we is mostly you and your designer. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Me.
Okay.
No, I mean basically we're always looking to do a better design and something that stands out from the rest, right? So it doesn't matter, position doesn't matter too much in my opinion. I've read a lot of stuff.
Like if it's on the left or the right or whatever,
faces to the right, top, the bottom. Okay. Make it as big as possible on the screen, right? Big, and formatted for either the phone or the computer, and just it's one of those things where it's like it's just I have probably an innate sense of what looks good and what doesn't. So it's kind of hard to say it's one thing because there's different things that apply to different products.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's some that you might say, and each product has a different strategy. Maybe the strategy is not, I can make a better image, but oh, I can sell this for $3 less than the bestseller and still make a huge profit and crush him, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe the image isn't great, but my price is great.
Okay.
So,
and then when you're doing that, right, you're picking what you think is going to be great about that product. And you do the rendering, you have the thing. Do you kick back the rendering, or that guy just always nails it?
Oh, I kick it back a lot. Okay. Yeah. I'm very picky about things. Okay. Right. So
you're like, make this more shiny, or make this another color. What are the normal things that are bad about the rendering that you have to kick back?
Colors. Okay. Shades of colors, which I can adjust that in Photoshop myself. Very rarely nowadays he does things very well. Okay. But I would say colors and shades. Things I might want a little more darker or lighter, or, but generally, I mean, I've been working with this guy for 3 years, so he kind of knows what I want. Yeah. And I give very specific instructions from the get-go. It's not like, hey, just do this thing. It's like, I want this, but make sure you keep the colors like on the last one you did. I want them bright. I want it impinging, you know, all that stuff.
Do you give them like a Pantone color? Do you give them a competitor's color? Like, how do you have them get the color you want? How do you describe that?
That's a good question. I just
make it darker.
I mean, I usually give him something to compare. Okay. I don't necessarily do a Pantone, but I'll give him I'll say, he'll throw something back to me and I'll say, no, I'll find another image and I'll say, it needs to be like this. Okay. Right? So I just give him a good comparison. Yeah.
And okay, so you spend a lot of time doing that, or maybe not a lot of time, but for every listing, you're going to do that thing. And then what about, let's say, props or like the packaging? What other things you're using for that main image? You know, I'm thinking like, what could I do? Like, put on my images, you know what I mean? For us, I mean, we make it and like, sometimes we'll put little tiny props. Now they're cutting down hard on any like badge. No badges of any kind are like allowed.
Yeah, I just got some suspensions. So what you can do is just really, I think with your products, you can include the box in it, which you do on some of your products, but really put some extra time and effort into making the box design really nice, right? I see a lot of guys that have been very successful with that. Yeah. Like the product is the same product that everyone else has, stainless steel French press. Yeah. Right? Yeah. What can you do to differentiate? They're all the same. They're double insulated, double wall insulated. You know, you can't really make it that much different, but you could make your packaging different, and you could include the package next to the French press and make it really pop. Yeah. So that's always something I'm looking into. Like the packaging is very important.
Yeah, and I've seen your packaging. Your packaging is nice, right? It's not just plain. It has like there's stuff in it that kind of make it stand out, like you're saying. Now, but you don't really change the design of all the packaging, and pretty much. Oh no, actually, I have seen some of each line has like a different kind of box. No.
Yeah, we've done different. Yeah, depending on.
And how do you pick the colors? Is there like, I'm just trying to find out like, what is it? What can someone else do, right? Is there some like Pantone book that this person feels like they're going to be in the ocean when they look at blue, or
no? But you don't do any of that crap. Well, here's something you could do. I just go with my instincts.
What you like?
Right? Yeah.
Do you picture yourself as a buyer, or you just go, I like this? Or
do you go picture myself as a buyer. Okay. I'm always looking as what would I buy? Okay. Right. Now, I always think of what would everyone else buy, because I buy a lot of things that other people don't buy based on things that I like, but I'm not the same as everyone else, right? So I kind of have to put myself in kind of different shoes of different types of people that shop. So that's another thing, right? But you get a general idea. But I guess something you could do is like, you have a product, go on Pinterest and go on these different social media sites or Instagram and see what people are liking. Like, what are they commenting that they like about these things, right?
So you look up the product. So let's say it's, whatever. We're talking about the French press. So you'd search like people with French presses on Instagram. And have you done this, or you're saying somebody could do it?
Someone could do it. Okay. I'm just saying, what could you do to see, like, the main thing you always have to keep in mind, and when I say I just do what I like design wise, that's not what everyone should do. Right. Like,
no, I know. I know. Because again, you have the eye.
But that's not what everyone should do. Yeah. You should base your decisions on what's popular. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, I do it differently. It works for me, but but it's not something I can describe to somebody to do it, because it's just an innate sense that I have about design. So the best thing you could do is just, do your homework, find out what people are liking and what people are commenting on and what's attractive to people.
Yeah.
So
so checking online, going on Pinterest, I mean, checking what people like, that is not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And I've seen checking on Amazon. Now, I've seen some of our best products. We always do something different than the people, like you're saying, but we're kind of innovating on that main image. What can we do? We can include different things on there that maybe someone else won't. Right.
You can include something. I mean, a lot of guys do that. I've seen that less effective nowadays.
Yep.
Because a lot of the stuff they're trying to include is like, it's just a kind of a zero to the left, right? It doesn't count. Like a guy's selling, I don't know, spatulas, and he wants to include a cork stopper. Or
a product. Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant like, maybe like a prop, or maybe like an angle, or maybe when it's open instead of closed, or like something a little bit different.
Props I really don't use in the main images, because, Amazon can be kind of sticklers about anything that's just not the product.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, fine. Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about the main image. I mean, again, I think it's super important. Like, without a good one, you will not sell well.
No.
So that's why we'll probably talk about it for like 15 minutes, just about the main image.
Probably even more than that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So you've seen a lot of people kind of come and go in the Amazon area, and you've even, I know, like, released a course kind of to teach people, or maybe not launch it, but you have it.
I built a course. I built a course. I didn't release it.
You never it. So, what do you see, is the number one thing that people, it's very attractive business, right?
Yeah.
People see and they're like, oh my gosh, I wanted to do that. I mean, I get two impressions from people. Mm-hmm. One is like, oh, that's cute, you sell on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Right? And that, they think that I'm going to my garage and like selling some things, or like, you know what I mean? They don't think it's a real
business models. Right. There's some people that do that.
Correct. Yeah. But some people, you say I'm selling Amazon, they kind of like think you're like a POS, like, oh, you sell on Amazon? Okay, that's cute. Like, let me go. Yeah. I'm going to make real. Or someone told me, I'm going after the big money. I was like, okay. I mean, I know how much they make, like, not that much. So anyway, so there's that reaction. Or I think the other reaction is like, oh my gosh, I want to sell on Amazon. Please. I've sometimes I mention it, like, the whole room will be like, what? Like, you quit your job to sell on Amazon? Like, tell me more, right?
Yeah.
So for that person, what do you see as the big mistake or the most common error that people make when they go for it and then you see them failing?
I think setting expectations too high. So I believe that's why people, if they set their expectations too high, they're just setting themselves up for disappointment. Mm-hmm. And most people, after a little bit of disappointment, will give up on any given path. So, one of my philosophies in life is, like, I always set my expectations low, not because I have low expectations, but I just won't be disappointed that way.
Yeah.
Right? I go out to a restaurant, I haven't tasted the food yet. I set my expectations low, you know what I mean? If it's decent, I'm happy. If it's terrible, I'm not happy, but if it's really good, I really enjoy it. But if you go to a place and you're like, oh, everyone told me this place is the best, and it's like, I'm going to love it, and then your soup comes out cold or something, you're going to be really upset, right?
Right.
It's the same thing, right? When you're going through the process and you really decide, I mean, it's an attractive business for many reasons. You can make good money after a certain amount of time.
Correct.
You have the freedom to do it from anywhere.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you have your office in one spot, but you don't have to be here.
Yep.
You can be anywhere. And everyone, actually, probably any number of your employees could go somewhere else and work remotely.
Sure.
Right? All my employees work remote.
Yep.
All of them. Mm-hmm. So that's attractive. And, you kind of do it on your own time.
Yep.
You're your own boss. It's the American dream, right?
Yeah. You can give yourself a 100-hour work week if you want.
Yeah. You can work as little or as much as you want, right? Yeah. I mean, whatever effort you put into it, you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But I think that the big issue with a lot of people is just setting the expectations too high and not reaching that expectation in a certain amount of time. And this business does take, it's not like something like, there's other businesses out there that you can make money faster.
Yeah.
Are they long lived? I don't know.
Correct.
Probably not. But this business does take time. And I've told anyone, listen, if you really want to make business, don't quit your job.
Yes.
Work on this, give it a year
yes.
until you're going to make money. And,
I think that's also very fast. A year to make money for me is very fast. For me, it was 2 years before we took a penny out of the business.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna take you from the time you decide to do it. You're gonna train. You're gonna find a product. You're gonna order. It's gonna be 4 or 5 months before you even get your product into Amazon.
Yeah,
and then you're not gonna make any money at the beginning, anyways.
Yeah,
because you need to. You need
yeah,
to
exactly.
Do all the
like again, if it's from a year, I personally think that's extremely fast. I mean, again, you did it like a year and 3 months or 4 months. With a big jump, like a big risk, which clearly was the right decision.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I started selling in February. I only had a few products, and I wasn't very successful, but I studied the whole time. So, that whole time I was on the road, I was traveling 3 weekends out of every month. I would sit in my hotel room and just consume information about Amazon and what
how
are doing.
Podcasts? Like book, like what? How? What did you?
I don't even remember.
Okay,
to be honest, it seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah. I mean, I would just articles.
Okay,
I would read articles, and I would just read stuff from Amazon themselves, like policies and stuff.
Okay, like help pages and this.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff's tremendously helpful.
Okay,
right? And I just plus I just decided that's
Facebook
what I was
groups, I guess. Masterminds, no?
Not masterminds. Yes, I went to a lot of courses and I went to a lot of events, and they're fun. They help out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just kept studying and studying and studying. So it was like a year of studying before I just really decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And that's when I quit my job. I took the leap of faith, but I knew, I had all the knowledge built up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And some application.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You worked a little bit. I had a few other products, and that 250,000 came like at the end of the year. So it's not like
it's not like you did 20,000 a month.
No, I mean,
was
even at 3,000 a month for 9 months, that's 27. So it all came at the end of the year, and I was like, okay, this has legs, it has potential. Okay. Boom, I'm all in, and I just continued studying. And I didn't expect, to.
Right. Again, you said you expected like probably $1 million at some point.
Yeah.
And again, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you just keep setting the bar higher and higher, right? So, but yeah, when my first idea was 10 products to do 10,000 a month each, 100,000 a month, which will bring you to about $1 million, a little over $1 million a year. Yeah. I thought that was like ultimate success. You know what I mean?
It's the same. Yeah.
And it is for a lot of people.
Correct.
Actually, there's a lot of people that reach that point and then they're just stagnant at that amount, or they'll start going down a little bit, but that's enough for them, and that's all great. I mean, to each their own.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I'll be respectful of your time. So, what is there any closing words that you kind of would want to say? What is kind of like a takeaway that anybody should know, not have them make these huge errors? What is one thing like someone should take home?
I mean, what do you mean to somebody who's like wants to sell on
Amazon? Let's say, or you know what, what's to sell, or maybe they're selling like 10,000 a month, and it's like really a side thing, and they don't know how to make it grow or whatever.
Yeah,
so someone in that range.
Okay, so the number one thing I've seen from like people who have a business, but like it's not fully a business yet, it's kind of like a hobby, they're making some extra money, is they're just not creating more products. Mm-hmm. Continue to create more products, right? And I think the best thing is like, don't start the business and need the income from that business to live off of.
Yes.
Because if that's the case, it's gonna be really tight. It's gonna be really hard to grow. And consistently, for us, we grow a lot, but I still don't take close. I mean, I don't even get paid hardly anything compared to what the business is making, right? Because it's all going to grow the business. So, it's just have the realistic expectations and plan for that. Plan for not making any money off it at the beginning and working hard on it. But at the end, the reward will be very big if you do that.
Sweet.
Because you'll be able to grow and you'll be able to get to a point where, yes, you can make money off it, and it can be your only source of income.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Mr. Beau, champion, amazing seller, inspiration to me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.